Okay, guys, in this lesson, we're going to learn how to add integers. And remember, we can't use a calculator in this unit. So adding integers that have the same sign, whether all positive numbers adding together or we're adding all negative numbers, is a very simple concept. Simply add the absolute values and apply the sign of the integers. So let's use integer tiles to represent this simple concept. So if we have 3 plus 2, so we have 3 positives, and we're going to add 2 more positives, we simply have 5 positives altogether. And remember, when there is no sign in front of a number, it's understood to be positive. So you can put a positive, but typically we don't. In our second example, we have 3 negatives. So we have 1, 2, 3 negative integer tiles, and we're going to add 2 more, and we have 5 negatives. So adding integers is like adding things together, like apples. So we have 3 apples, and we'll add 2 more. We still have apples. So when we add negatives, we still have negatives. Example number 3, -1 plus 1 more negative gives us a total of 2 negatives. So adding integers, you simply add the values and apply the sign. The concept of opposites or additive inverses is essential for adding integers with opposite signs. Recall that opposite numbers are equally distant from 0 on the number line. When we add opposites together, the result is 0. So if we have -5 plus +5, our answer is 0. The additive inverse of -5 is +5, therefore -5 plus 5 is 0. They cancel each other out. The additive inverse of +5 is -5. And when we add these two additive inverses, we get 0. So it's kind of like if you want to think of like debt, if you borrow $5 and then you pay back $5, you are at 0. There are 2 steps in adding integers with different signs. So let's look at these 2 steps. The first step is to subtract the absolute values of the integers. The second step is determining the sign of the answer. So once you subtract the absolute values, then you check to see the sign of the integer with the larger absolute value and you apply that sign. So if you have more negatives, the answer is negative. If you have more positives, your answer will be positive. So let's take a look using integer tiles. So we have 5 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to add 2 positives. So it's kind of like you are $5 in debt and then you gain $2. How much are you in debt? Well, a negative and a positive cancel each other out. So that's we have 2 pairs of opposites and we have 3 negatives left. -5 plus 2 is -3. 5 plus -2. Now we have 5 positives. And then we're going to add 2 negatives. We have 2 pairs of zeros, and we're left with +3. Notice there are more positives, so our answer is positive. In example 4, there were more negatives, so we ended with negatives. Number 6, we have 3 negatives, and we're going to add 1 positive. A negative and a positive zero out, and we're left with 2 negatives, or -2. Okay, pause the video, use your integer tiles to find your answer. The first three up here, these signs are all the same. And then the other ones, we have different signs. So make sure you apply the appropriate rule. Okay, now let's move on. And there is another method of adding integers, and that is using a number line. So it's good to have a visual when we're learning how to add integers. And then once you get the hang of it, you won't need the visuals. So addition along with positive numbers move toward the right. So positive numbers or the addition symbol means move to the right on the number line, while subtraction or negative numbers move toward the left on the number line. The first integer of a problem is called the starting point. The sign of the second integer, so the sign of the second integer indicates the direction that will move on the number line from that starting point. So if it's a negative, we're going to move to the left of the starting point, and if positive, we're going to move to the right of the starting point. Okay, so subtraction and negative mean left, positive and plus mean right. So let's look at our two examples. We have -6 plus 8. So we're going to start at -6. We're going to add positive. So that means we're going to move to the right 8 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So -6 plus 8 moves us to +2. Let's look at our next example. This time we're going to start at +6 and we're going to add -8. Negative indicates to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we end at -2. So 6 plus -8 is -2. Again, there were more negatives, so our final answer was negative. In example 7, there were more positives, so our final answer was positive. Now pause the video and you use the number line to find your answer to these addition problems. Okay, now let's take a look at the simple summary for addition, and this is where we're not going to use integer tiles or a number line. So just remember when you're adding integers and the signs are the same, you simply add the two values and keep the sign of the numbers. But when signs are different, so if we have a negative and positive, if they are different, we're going to subtract and then take the sign with the larger naked number, also called the absolute value, okay? So if we have -7 plus 9, these are different, so we're going to subtract and get 2. We have more positives, so our answer remains positive. In our next example, we are adding two numbers with different signs, so we get 2. And then we have more negatives this time, so our final answer is negative. The last example, we are adding numbers with the same sign, so we simply add and then apply the sign of the two numbers we are adding, so we get -10. Okay, now finish up your practice problems, and when you finish and the answer key is issued to you, make sure you go over every problem and making corrections on everything. That is super important for the success of this online course. Thank you.